welcome back to The Oily Life. For those of you that are new here, my name is Tanya, and on my channel I like to share all things essential oils, natural DIYs, soap making, just basically natural living, as far as how you can live a natural life, as well as run a business that is geared towards a natural way of life. So in today's video, I am trying something for the first time. I'm making my first batch of cold processed salt bars. So this is something I've been meaning to do for probably almost a year, and I just haven't gotten around to it. Kind of got a little bit nervous because you hear so much about how quickly the salt bars set up, and I was just worried about not actually being able to get it into a mold before it turned into soap on a stick. But now's the time. I'm ready to take the challenge, so let's go make some soap. So I have all of my oils and butters melted down, and I'm just going to get the essential oil added in. I'm using Ylang Ylang, which is a floral. It has a pretty low usage rate. It's a pretty strong smelling essential oil. So a little goes a long way. You don't need much. The kale and clay just helps that essential oil scent kind of anchor into the soap better. Now, this is not my typical batter recipe that I used with a salt soap. Most of the time you're going to see them with more coconut oil in them. That kind of helps to offset that the salt takes away some of the lathering ability, so the coconut oil will add that back in. Plus, it'll help with moisturizing your skin. And then I've poured my lye water in. I'm just going to give this a quick blend. Now, I was really scared to blend this too much because I keep hearing how fast salt soaps set up. So I just got it to a light trace, and at that point I went ahead and split my accent color off. I'm using rose clay for the accent color. I thought that would be nice in a salt soap. Just another, skin-loving ingredient that could be added in. Plus, the rose clay has such a pretty color. And I just gave that a really light blend too. Now, I will say, and you'll see here, once I combine my, I did an in the pot swirl. So you'll see once I combine everything here that I should have blended either the main base color or the rose clay longer, because they did muddy together quite a bit. But this is the first salt soap that I'd made, and I was just so scared that it was gonna set up quickly on me. But I still really wanted an accent color, so I just didn't blend it enough. In the future, when I remake this, I would definitely get the batter a little bit thicker. I probably still want it blended a whole lot more, but a little bit more would be nice, just so that the color stayed separated a little bit better. And now I'm going to go ahead and get the salt added in. I used a combination of Epsom salt and pink Himalayan salt. I think the two of those together, you get a little bit, I used fine grain Himalayan salt, so you get a little bit more of a lighter exfoliation with the pink Himalayan salt. And then the Epsom salt, I used a little bit coarser grain, so you kind of got two feelings of exfoliation in the soap. Plus, the pink Himalayan salt just adds, a little bit more color and dimension to the bar, so I thought that'd be nice. And plus, both of these salts are supposed to have, of course, I make no claims about what it does in soap, but are supposed to have some great benefits for you. So that's why I chose these two particular salts. Now, you would not want to use something like a Dead Sea salt in a salt soap bar. Dead Sea salts can weep, so it wouldn't work out to use that in a bar of soap. And as you can see here, when I'm pouring this in, it's just kind of running all over the place. I was hoping to spread it out a little more. I did run my spatula through it, and then I kind of gave up on that idea. I knew it was going to end up being kind of muddied here. But, we were kind of at the point where, and that's why there's a pause there, we were kind of at the point here where the damage had already been done and you just got to roll with it. And now I'm going to go ahead and pour the batter into the molds. It stayed pretty fluid for most of the pouring. The last couple that I poured, it was thicker on, but for the most part, it was a really fluid batter the whole time. you can see a lot of the bar ends up being that rose clay color. And then the more I pour, I do end up getting some more of the natural base, but it's all fine. That's part of soaping. You got to roll with the punches, and soap does not always do what you plan. Sometimes it has a mind of its own. I actually, in the end, I really like how it turned out still. Like I said, if I was to remake it, I would blend it a little more, but overall, I think it still ended up being a really pretty bar of soap. Just, you know, things you learn as you go. And then I did just want to add a little more of the salt to this side of the soap. I knew that a lot of the salt might settle, so I wanted to make sure that both sides of the bar had some salt in it. So just sprinkling a little bit more of the pink Himalayan salt on this side. Now, salt bars do set up a lot quicker than normal cold process soap does. So that's why most of the time when you see salt soaps, they're poured into individual cavity molds instead of like a loaf mold. If you leave it in the loaf mold for too long, then your soap cutter will break. The wire will break when you try to cut through it. So a lot of the time it's just easier to use the individual cavities of the mold. I only had to let these set up for 4 hours, and then they were completely hard and I could pop them out of the mold. And as I was saying, this is just 4 hours later. It's on the same day. You can see how easily they can come out. They're completely hard. Now you still do have to let them cure because they haven't completely saponified at this point, but they are hard. They're like solid as a rock. So it was pretty easy to get them out of the mold. Now you'll see, like you can see where the natural batter concentrated in certain places. Like I said, that's just because I didn't blend it enough. But I was glad that it still had the two colors in it and had a little bit of a marbling effect. So overall, like I said, pretty happy with how it turned out. You can still really pick up the Ylang Ylang, which, how do you say Ylang Ylang? Google instructed me that's the proper way to pronounce it. I had always said Ylang Ylang before, but out of curiosity, I had Googled it just to be sure, and according to Google pronunciation, it is Ylang Ylang. So let me know, how do you pronounce this particular essential oil down in the comments below. Hopefully I was not the only one clueless on the actual pronunciation of this essential oil. But that's another thing. You live and learn every day. I've used this oil for years and had no idea I had been saying it wrong until I happened to look it up. So I hope that you enjoyed today's video and that it inspired you to maybe go try making your own salt soap or whatever it is that maybe you've been scared to try making for yourself. It usually ends up that it's not as bad as you think it's going to be, so I encourage you to get out there and try something new today. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them down below. I'll be sure to get back with you. And take care, and until next time, bye.